first off, I guess talk about our tropical system that is just going to sit around south of Jamaica, south of Haiti, and south of Cuba here for 5+ days, just kind of hanging out. You can see it's expected to be a tropical storm all the way until what is this? The 24th. That's going to be Friday. Today is Tuesday. So from here to here is 3 days, and then to here is actually 5 days. This is the 25th. Well, I guess that would be 4 days, but either way, I mean, 4 days. There's a lot of tropical systems that cover this much space in one day. So this thing is moving incredibly slowly. There has been some model guidance. There's a huge, I guess, separation in the two solutions. There's one that kind of curves out this way, which the National Hurricane Center, as you can see, is kind of siding with a little bit. And almost every single model that shows this is a much weaker storm. There's also very large groups of models that kind of keep it moving very slow and heading almost directly westward instead, continuing south of Jamaica. And these ones get incredibly strong, seeing some solutions showing category 3, 4, or 5 hurricane if it moves that way. There's a pretty clear-cut difference in the intensity that we're getting from these models based on if it moves northward or continues westward. This is a much stronger storm if it moves out this way, a much weaker storm if it moves towards Haiti and Cuba and gets that land interaction up here. That would basically continue it around tropical storm or category 1 status most likely. I'm not trying to say it's impossible, but there is a huge fork in the road between intensities based on this fork in the road on tracks. So this is going to be one that we're going to continue to track, but that is the two major solutions that we're seeing as of now. As we just take a look at the United States as a whole, hopefully the radar comes back. There you go. You can see we do have two major lows right now, one near the UP of Michigan and then one there over Maine. The clear difference is that we have a very high precipitation low here in the Midwest and Great Lakes and impacting the Ohio Valley and areas of Canada. Very dynamic, very high precipitation. And even if you look to the south along this cold front, there is tons of precipitation all over the place from Texas all the way up through New York State here as a result of this system. The low that is near Maine there, you can see, is hardly bringing any precipitation to the United States, more so over New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, and areas there in eastern Canada. Really not very populated areas to the east of Quebec, northeast of Quebec. We're getting some pretty heavy precipitation there. But as far as Maine, maybe some sprinkles or little light showers floating around in the northern regions of Maine. But other than that, this low is pretty much done for a lot of the United States. The west is very quiet, as you can see. And along this cold front, we are getting some pretty major thunderstorms, basically from Texas through Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, and then up into Tennessee, North Carolina, and South Carolina there as well. We kind of have a gap here for this area. And then the continuation northward of this cold front, we do have some passing showers throughout Pennsylvania and New York as a result of this. Closer to the low, we have heavier showers. I don't really expect thunderstorms in there, more so just showers for states like Illinois, Wisconsin, Michigan, Indiana, and Ohio. And then looking even further northward here, closer to the low, it's more so persistent rainfall. Wouldn't even call it showers. When I think of showers, I think of off and on. This is just plain rain for hours and hours at a time near Thunder Bay, Canada, areas near Duluth, Minnesota, and other regions in the UP of Michigan. And it's going to be moving southward, as you can see, into northern Wisconsin as well over time. So let's go ahead and move on and take a look at our model guidance to kind of get an idea of what is upcoming. And like I mentioned, lots of cold fronts, lots of big cooldowns, and lots of storms as a result of that is going to be the theme. And when we kind of just look at this first frame, this is for Tuesday afternoon, a little bit earlier than when you're even watching this, we can clearly see that there is a trough moving in underneath this low and behind the cold front that it is created. And this is going to be cooling things down significantly in the east over time. Out west, we kind of have this warm bubble. We call this a positive PNA, and this is what kind of creates the imbalance as that warm air pushes northward into areas that are typically much colder. That cooler air then has to kind of spill over to the east. As a general rule of thumb, here in the northern hemisphere, everything is moving from west to east for the most part. And that's especially true in our neck of the woods here in North America. It starts with the west coast of North America and it ends with the east coast of North America. So everything's kind of moving from west to east. And that's why when we see this warmer air pushing northward, it doesn't cause spillover into the Pacific Ocean there to the west. It causes it to the east here. That's just really tried and true, happens all the time. We saw it all fall and winter last year. And we're seeing this shape up again this year as we've been expecting for the late fall into winter. As we move towards tomorrow afternoon, Wednesday the 22nd, we can see that a lot of this low pressure just kind of comes together and creates a lot of steady rainfall for still the Great Lakes, still many areas in Canada, and then even the Northeast here getting quite a bit of rainfall from this. This warmer air out west has pushed even further to the north, which typically, as a result, what's going to happen is this cooler air in the east is going to dip even further to the south as a reaction to that, and we can kind of see that already taking place. Major ridge in the west, major trough in the east as soon as tomorrow, Wednesday the 22nd. It's going to be much cooler than it was today unless you're already in the trough in the central states, whereas you're probably going to be looking at just as cold. By Thursday the 23rd, it's still here over the east. This major low is now closer to areas further north and eastern Canada. Still seeing precipitation as a result of that for the Great Lakes, Mid-Atlantic, and Northeast here, as you can see, but mostly drier for everywhere else in the United States. Unless you're in the Four Corner states and kind of Texas area, we do have quite a bit of low elevation rainfall, high elevation snowfall happening in there. Still very warm out west, very cool in the east here. Moving towards Friday here on the 24th, we see a lot of this activity moves further eastward and is causing some thunderstorm and heavy shower activity across the south central states like Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, Colorado, Nebraska, Missouri, and Arkansas. Still cooler in the east by Friday the 24th. So this is a multi-day cool down, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday here so far. And then we can see the northwest is beginning to see a little bit of cooler air move in, a little bit of storminess, and this is what is going to cause this cool down to go ahead and move out of the east, at least the first one. Again, there's 4 popping up on the model run. By Saturday, it is lifting off. It's still cooler in the east than it is in the central states by this point, but we can clearly see some cooler air and stormy weather really impacting the northwest by this Saturday 25th time frame. Looking at the south central states, we're still seeing those thunderstorms and showers around as well by Saturday. Looking towards Sunday on the 26th, all of this kind of moves further eastward to what I would call the deeper south, Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, mostly. The northwest getting more and more active by the day, as we can see very widespread rainfall and then snowfall for those higher elevation areas, very heavy in some spots. So certainly going to be impactful to say the least, as I'm sure all the ski resorts out there are rolling right now, and they're going to get even better here. Still a little cooler in the northeast, but that cool down has died down mostly. Moving towards Monday here on the 27th, something interesting begins to happen. And by something, I mean a couple things. Strong low here over North Dakota, developing a cold front. We see warmer air intruding into the southwest, and this cooler air looks to follow in behind the cold front. And the more that warm air in the west pushes northward, the more that is going to blast that cold air eastward. We are seeing some thunderstorms and showers around for the southeast as well by this point. So overall, a lot more activity. Tuesday, it's evident what is occurring as this warmer air continues to push further and further northward there out west for the immediate west coast. We can see this Arctic air free flowing in behind this cold front, which is located right here. And this is really rushing eastward. By Wednesday here on the 29th, we can see a trough has full-blown entered into the eastern states. Really textbook here if we follow the jet stream. Really warm air, really high pressure throughout a lot of the west there. And then this Arctic air is able to just kind of free flow in once again as we get another major cool down for midweek next week. So about a week after that first one, again, tomorrow is moving in. As we keep going, Thursday on the 30th, it is still here. We actually get a bit of a nor'easter as well for the Mid-Atlantic. This is before 10 days, so I'm taking a little bit of a grain of salt, but this is only about 7-8 days away, so this definitely has some legs to stand on. We'll be watching for some storminess accompanying these major cooldowns as they roll in. Friday here on the 31st of October, that's going to be Halloween Day. We could see a lot of storminess located across the Ohio Valley, Mid-Atlantic, and Northeast here. Really, really impactful. Obviously, we always have trick-or-treaters. A lot of, I mentioned this yesterday, but a lot of parents and grandparents watch the channel, so I know a lot of you care. I'm going to keep you up to date with this. This has shifted northward from yesterday. So this could change a lot. This is right around the 10-day mark. We're going to continue to monitor it, but hopefully this dries up a little bit for you guys. So it's a little bit nicer out there. Saturday, the 1st of November, we can kind of see cooldown number 3 trying to move in. This time around, we never really cooled down in the west, so the cold just was kind of reloading and is about to move back in again as that positive PNA, very warm pattern out west has just persisted at this point. As we keep going, we see this becomes a lot more of a full-blown cooldown around Sunday the 2nd here. Again, if we follow this jet stream, ridge in the west, trough in the east, now for the 3rd time in about not even 15 days, about 12 days here perhaps, something like that. So really, really impactful. As we keep going, this one really dives southward. Look at this. I mean, this is just really free-flowing that colder air along the east here. Very, very chilly compared to what's typical across these regions. To start out November, too, this is Monday, November 3rd. That one moves out quite quickly, but look at where we get at the very, very end of the model run. Warmer air along this kind of west coast area, and then another dip is kind of moving eastward. We could see some disturbance in here, so if a low forms and forms a cold front, we're going to have the same thing happening. It's going to pull that cold air straight into the east for the 4th time. So we're all of a sudden going from a pattern that was much warmer than normal in the east and much cooler than normal in the west. Now it's kind of transitioned into up and down, back and forth. And now we're getting signs finally as of October 21st here on Tuesday that we might be moving into something that is much cooler than it is warmer. So this isn't a back and forth pattern. This isn't a neutral temperature pattern. This is a plain colder than normal pattern to end October to enter November. Really, really something to watch for. Total precipitation here, I'm not going to lie, is still good for the east of the plains in general. We can see there's obviously a couple dry spots. I'm talking about kind of the mean average of all of these areas. But this is a step down from the previous 2 model runs. I just got to point it out. Still, some of your key areas that have been much drier, like Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana, are wetter. And then the Northeast here is much wetter. So the primary areas that we really need precipitation aren't really suffering. It's mostly areas like here in the Midwest and Ohio Valley, as well as areas in Florida. There's just some little dry pockets that are much drier, but I'm kind of nitpicking at this point. This isn't too bad. Looking at the precipitation anomalies, pretty much everywhere in here is at the very worst, maybe an inch below average, which is going to be sustainable. That's not the worst in the world. And again, it's not in these crucial areas. We see above average for most of our critical areas, or at least near average. So not too bad. I can't complain. Total snowfall, we actually, believe it or not, do see some snowfall occurring in the mountainous east as a result of these frequent cooldowns. Take this with a grain of salt, and certainly don't take these as like a literal forecast, because oftentimes the models are predicting the actual snowfall that's falling out of the sky and not the actual snowfall that sticks to the ground. So obviously the ground temperatures are much warmer. The sun angle, which is very critical, is much higher still. So in other words, probably most of this wouldn't stick, but this is a sign that the very high elevations could be seeing some flakes flying, which is really cool and a sign of how cold it's going to be. Really neat to see. Still the mountainous west doing phenomenal. Looking at the temperatures, again, cooldown number 1 moving in, Arctic blast. Really cold compared to normal. Blues are about 1 to 10 degrees below normal. The greens are 10 to 15 degrees below what is typical. We see that stick around for a few days. And then we kind of warm up, although we really don't along the East Coast. We kind of just stay colder. Then that second Arctic blast moves down, and this one is just really severe, especially the further south you go. Again, blues are 1 to 10 degrees below normal. Greens are 10 to 15. And then some of these purplish shades in here are about 15 to 25 degrees below normal for parts of the Mid-Atlantic and Southeast. That would be severe on the end of how intense these cooldowns are. remember, out west, look at this, just warmer than normal. There's a couple blue spots in there, but overall, again, taking the mean average, these areas are far above average as far as temperatures, and that's just going to allow for these cooldowns to keep coming in. Cooldown number 3 right here kind of just meshes with the second one. This is for the first few days of November, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th. And then right at the end here, this one hasn't even come to an end, but we're warming up here along the west coast. And look at this, it's just a little thin band of colder air, but it looks to take aim at the east coast. These do intensify as they move down. They don't literally get colder, but the average temperatures as it goes further south are higher. So the same air mass that's up here isn't going to look that far below average, but once it moves into much, much warmer areas, at least as far as their averages are, this would be a huge, massive blue area in here if it moves down, which it does look like it's going to do. So just really, really intense look. Getting some agreement from the GFS model. Here's cooldown number 1. Moved in, again, lasts a few days. Cooldown number 2, 3, and then 4 here moving in for the first week of November. So both models, the GFS more than the European model though, they all have 4 cooldowns taking aim at the east. This is just a really intense look for cold air, and I'm here for it. I love the fall weather, and this is going to be winter-like for some areas very far to the north. So this is going to be a dramatic switch from a semi-mild pattern straight into like a severe cold pattern as far as October and November go. This is going to be much cooler than what we're typically used to. So really, really intense stuff. We'll keep you guys up to date. We do upload every single day, so be sure to subscribe. You can even hit the bell icon for daily notifications when we upload so you never miss one. Be sure to like the video if you did enjoy it, leave a comment down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.